What's up out there? Let's talk about Grim Dawn. This is developed and published by Crate Entertainment. It is not in early access. It was fully released on February 25th, 2016. This is priced at $24.99 regularly, but it is currently on sale for $2.49 until January 2nd. There is no demo for it. Steam reviews are very positive and the performance is very good. These guys also developed Farthest Frontier, and as I understand it, some of the developers that are part of Crate Entertainment came from the team that developed the original Titan Quest. I don't believe any of them are affiliated with the Titan Quest sequel that we're getting at some point, but some of these guys were part of the original Titan Quest team, which Titan Quest is another cool game I have to go revisit at some point. But Grim Dawn is what I will describe as a semi-open world ARPG, and I call it semi-open world. You'll see when we look at the map, but it's basically a very old school version of an ARPG. This is more laid back and casual than Path of Exile. There's co-op, offline single player. Basically, you're just going to play through the campaign. There's no leaderboards that I know of. There's no ladder system. There's no league content, nothing that recurs. It's just the base game and whatever the expansions are. This is very old school in a lot of ways. There are 2 campaign expansions and an arena DLC and another campaign expansion coming along soon. I think all told, you can get I think each expansion is like $10 or $11, and then the base game's $2.50. So you can, for the price of the base game by itself, I think you can get the game with all the expansions and everything. But base game itself is $2.50 and it's worth it. I mean, this is a pretty cool game. That said, this is probably going to be, I don't want to say an acquired taste, but if you're used to more modern games like Diablo 4, Path of Exile, Last Epoch, this is going to play a little bit different than those, and it's going to be a little bit older. You may not be as comfortable playing it. Mileage may vary. I was actually surprised at how well the game held up when I started playing it. I kind of thought it would be a lot slower moving, like your character moving really slow and stuff like that, but the movement's been very fluid, and the controls were a little bit awkward at first. I did get things set up the way I want them, but they were a little bit awkward. So I am not covering anything up. You've got this little toolbar down here from 1 to 0, which is the number keys on your keyboard. And then you've got the left and right mouse button. However, when you move, the left button is always move and attack and move to open. So if we go out here and find a monster somewhere, they're all dead. Nothing to shoot at. All right. So if you find something that you want to attack, left button is always attack. And I think there's a way to change that. Or if there is, I haven't figured out a way to do it, because I basically just had to, when I started off, if you right click on one of these, you can actually select the different skill you want. So I was using the 1 and 2 key to attack, and then R and E are your heal and regenerate mana and stuff like that. But I ended up moving things around to make it a little bit more Path of Exile like, because I'm so used to the buttons in Path of Exile. So I moved, the life potion is on R and the magic potion is on E. I ended up moving those to 1 and 2, so it mimics Path of Exile 2 and basically how I play PoE 1. And then over here on the L and R, I actually moved my attacks to this side so that I can huck fireballs and shoot my gun over here. Yes, there is a gun in an ARPG. So those little changes helped things out. There's also this little gold button that adjusts the size of the mini map over here in case that thing gets annoying. It starts off too small. I ended up increasing the size of that. But this is the starting area that you're going to go into. And up here, this guy has a storage box. So if you see this, the little picture with the 2 people, that means you're in the single player mode. If you click here and you see the single one, this means you're in the multiplayer mode. And it's not, or multi-character mode. So across your account, there is a shared storage. So I've got a character from a few years ago that's got some items that I had thrown in here, and then like some little crafting materials and stuff like that. So basically that character's stuff that he built up from a few years ago is now available to my character here, and I can put it to use however I see fit. Now, let's see here. We also need to talk about the skills. So this looks a little bit like Last Epoch, and I think Last Epoch probably stole this idea from here. However, this game lets you specialize in two different things. Like I'm a demolitionist inquisitor. I took both of these because they both had firearm related stuff and I wanted to do as much firearm damage as possible. I'm not following a build guide. I don't particularly care. I want to play the game the way I see fit, so I'm making my own choices and selecting things here. Are they good? Are they bad? I don't know, but I'm just making my own decisions, and that's how I'm playing this. There is also a passive tree, kind of like Path of Exile. Now, this one's a little bit more... I think the Path of Exile tree is a little more intuitive. This one's a little odd. So as you get points available, and you're going to have 55 points to use, you'll start off from this central hub, and you pick a point over here. So I put this point. I'm not entirely versed on all the decisions that I make, but like say if I mouse over this, it's going to highlight certain constellations. If I highlight this, it's going to highlight different constellations. So some of them are the same, like the little Panther or whatever, he's in both sides, but then others highlight different parts all over the place. I'm not exactly sure what the total affinities mean. I'm sure you're going to want to put as many affinities together as you can, but I took this one and I probably want to back out of this at some point, but I thought, all right, whatever, I'll just see where things go. With this, you pick things like you do with Path of Exile, but where Path of Exile has a tree that just kind of goes off and you go from one to the next, this one you're actually picking into the constellation. So I think I started on this node, and then you pick your way through the constellation. Like this one gives me increased physical damage and pierce. I thought that would be good for bow or a firearm. Probably need to look at what kind of damage my weapon does. But then you get like offensive ability, and then down here you get this thing, which is Assassin's Mark, 100% chance to crit on an attack. This actually levels up as I use the skill, and when you select this node, you select the skill that you want to use with it. So I've selected the Fire Strike. That's my main skill that I'm using, so this will earn XP as I use that skill and level up and get me more ability to use it. Now, that is just this constellation. If I want to enter into another constellation, like this one here's got one you can level up, I have to start over here at this point and then work my way over to that, and then I can finally level it up. So you've got stuff that gives like life, regens, things like that, defensive ability, movement speeds, crit damage, all that kind of stuff. And that is how you progress around this thing. It's a little bit more complicated and a little more unintuitive than the PoE one is. And I think it's a little weirder looking when you go through this, but it's as powerful as the Path of Exile tree. Items are a little different. There is no crafting in this game. Now you do have, there's no crafting that I would say there's no crafting like Path of Exile. There are items like these chipped claws. And if I look at this chipped claw, it says it can be used on weapons, shields, and caster offhand. So if I right click this, it would highlight something that I could apply it to. If we go to the soul shard, it looks like I can put that on this item here and this item because they're the ones that lit up. And this would give me some additional modifiers to everything. So it's not quite like Path of Exile in that regard, and pretty much all the gear that you get is going to drop on the ground. This is how ARPGs used to be. You kill something, it throws off a piece of loot, and you use it. In Path of Exile and Path of Exile 2, I feel like you're more than likely going to take a piece of gear, scour it off, or take it as normal item, and then craft on it from there, and crafting is the focus of the game in obtaining gear. Here, everything just drops on the ground, and whatever you get's what you get. So you're always looking for number go up. So if we go over to like the shop over here, we can try to buy some stuff from this guy. And this weapon here, this shows that if I could buy this and equip it, I could get plus 369 damage per second. So that would be a really good weapon if I could equip that, or if I could purchase that. But it's going to cost, well, it's level 35 and it's going to cost more money than I have. So that's where you're going to get your gear. There's like some fundamental differences between the way this and Path of Exile or Diablo or Last Epoch plays. Let's see, we talked about the shared stash. I would say the music is excellent in here, but the music is not necessarily level specific. Like it's just general background. It's almost like you went on to Spotify and just clicked random on the playlist. but like there's not necessarily pumping combat music or something like that. The music's very good. There is some very Diablo 2 music in here that I hear and I'm like, man, that takes me back. And the graphics and everything, like if this is how Diablo 2 played, was more modern like this, I would not have as difficulty going back and playing it. This game is very easy to jump into. For me, it is anyway. I don't know how other people feel about it. The one thing that I would add on the audio is if you go talk to somebody, this guy has just said, see anything you like, and that's kind of all he says. Some of these guys will actually speak like the first row of text on there, and then they never talk again. He's not talking. There's pretty much no vocalization. There's no voice work in here. There is some, but like I said, it's some certain characters and certain lines of text. You're not going to get a whole big voiced over campaign or anything like that. There's virtually no cutscenes in this. It is very budget, and you can probably feel that budget at times. But the audio is fairly good overall. The music is fairly good. The gameplay is fairly fun. And the last thing I will add before we dive in and do some playing is that the maps can be a little difficult to navigate. There's one particular city farther into the game. I don't remember where it is exactly, but it is brutal to navigate. There's a lot of, I kind of hated that one too. There's a lot of places where the area you need to go to is here, but you have to go way out of your way to get over to it. You can't just cross through it. There's like trash in the way or something. So some of the navigation can be aggravating. These are basically, well, they call them rifts in here, but they're basically waypoints. So this is the game map. Now, this Corvin Basin, this is one of the expansions. I don't remember which one it is. The Forgotten, whatever, I don't remember. This is one of the expansions, I think. I'm pretty sure that's an expansion. And I'm pretty sure this Gloomwald, I think all of that is an expansion. I don't remember if this is an expansion or, at any rate, this is the main game. The base game goes somewhere around in here, and then at some point the expansion or one of the expansions takes off on one of the little sides of this lake or whatever this is. But the base game runs at least up to this area here. There was a boss I killed over there, and then I need to run up this way. I think, if I remember right, somewhere, I don't remember exactly, it's been so long, somewhere over in here is where the main campaign ends, and then there is, it might even be over to here, but one of these is expansion. This over here, this whole side map is definitely expansion, and this is pretty much main game. Now, I say this is open world like because all of these areas up this side are connected. So it's basically an open world. You can actually traverse all the way up to here, take every one of these rifts back, and that's like, it's all just connected. And the same thing going up this way. So we'll go over here and we will go up here. You basically can play this pretty much one-handed. I have opted for a firearm, so you can also hold the left click down and just highlight the thing you wanted to shoot and then move on when you're done. So this is movement and gunfire or attack are tied to the left mouse key. The right mouse key, I've switched over to this Molotov cocktail. And then on the map, you've got the local map and then you've got the world map. So you can swap between them. This is the local map, and you can see that if I go all the way back to here, this is all one big connected area. I don't remember, I think, let's see here. Yeah, okay. So this is the entire overworld map. If I look at the overworld, this Devil's Crossing right here is this spot on the map right here. That's where we started. If I traverse all the way up through here and get all the way up into this thing up here, that's where I fought a boss. One of the campaign bosses for the base campaign was up here somewhere, and now I'm back moving over on this side coming up this way. So you can see how it's just all connected. I see a shrine over here that we'll go take care of. So that's why I say it's like semi-open world. There's no horses or anything like that. You just basically hoof it around. You're not seeing any monsters right now because I've already cleared all this out. I don't remember if it stays cleared between saves or not, or between loading the game. I feel like some monsters do respawn, but I'm not seeing any, so maybe they're all dead. There is a decent bit of walking, but you can see here, we're getting into a fight. Apparently I've not been on this side, which I thought I was, but this monster here is a little bit higher level than I am. Currently I am level 23, that one's level 24. Need to up my DPS a little bit. But there's a lot of gear that drops on the ground, so I basically pick up anything that is not white. So yellow, blue, or green. I don't remember what the rarities are, but yellow items are magic. I think white items are just normal, yellow items are magic, green items are rare, and then blue items are epic. There are like set pieces. This is a set piece, this guardsman's breastplate. There's a helm, breastplate, spalders, hammer, and defender. And then there are, I think there's uniques in here too, but I don't have one handy. I think, don't quote me on that. Now this thing here, you kill off this stuff, it's gonna give you the shrine completion on this. There's like big bosses and stuff you gotta deal with. The spacebar, got to mention that before I get too far into this. The spacebar is actually a pause button by default. I swapped it over to take it off the pause and then set it up as a dodge button. There is dodge in here, but you have to hotkey it, or I don't remember if it was hotkeyed by default, but it wasn't space, and I would prefer to have it on space. So, killed that guy off, got some upgrades here, or got some new items. Like I said, everything you get is going to come off the ground. These blue items are epic. We definitely want to pick everything up. I sell everything, like I said, this is not normal, not regular normal items. This epic piece of gear is got a lot more armor. Now you're going to look at this and you're going to see that there's acid damage, poison damage. You've got some spirit. There's offensive ability. This game goes kind of crazy with the affixes that it has. This helmet is a lot better, so I get more elemental damage. You can also see that there's like physique, cunning, and spirit. This is what you actually put your points into. Somehow all this goes into your offense and defense and everything. Then there's resistances. You've got fire, cold, lightning, poison and acid, piercing, bleeding, vitality, ether, chaos, and physical. So there's all kinds of different resistances. This game is a lot more complicated than Path of Exile in certain respects. You can get little blueprints to create gear. Do I want to switch this? It's got a lot more armor on it. And it's doing a little bit more acid damage, which I don't know that I am doing acid damage. There's also like the 1, 2, and 3 where you can see more of your stats. This thing gets really in-depth, and I don't know that I care to get all that in-depth. I'm going to swap that out because that is a better item, I think. And then we'll just move on. I've already explored all of these areas. These little things here are cave entrances, and then you've got the little portal over here. And this is pretty much the way you play this game, is just walk around and kill things. So you might have something like a chest or a little, that was a skull or a skeleton or whatever that's got items in it. Shoot these guys down here. Like a lot of this isn't necessarily complicated or super difficult. Some of the boss fights, you might take a little bit of damage, but the boss fights are more of a straight up punching contest where you're going to hit them and they hit you. Like I said, it's kind of an old school type of game. A lot more laid back than PoE, definitely. And you're not necessarily killing like screenfuls of mobs or anything. It's more of a killing one mob at a time type of thing. But, yeah, I forgot we can change our viewpoint. The little arrow keys move your screen around if you want to get a different angle. Sometimes there'll be stuff overhead that's hard to see, and it's better to rotate the screen a little bit so you can see where you're going. And there's different status effects. I've got whatever this is, deadly aim going, whatever that is. I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent, but it's going. But this is it. This is what Grim Dawn is. And it's just kind of a nice, chill experience. I remember some of the later parts of the game get very difficult, probably because I was melee and I was running around with a sword and shield. Range seems to be a little bit better, and I don't know how well the damage is going to scale up, but it's doing fairly well at range, and I don't even have to take my finger off the left click. I don't even have to hold a button to heal or anything with. So it's better on my left-hand carpal tunnel. I got to figure out this whole dynamite situation. There's a whole bunch of areas that are blocked off by dynamite, and I got to go figure out how to make it. I don't remember how to do that, and it's been so long. Might be in this mine. Might have to go in there. But, I don't know. I like this game. I think it's pretty cool. I don't know if I would call it an acquired taste. I honestly don't know how modern or younger people would interpret this game. I grew up with stuff like this, so for me, this is like just normal, you know? This is the way it should be. Path of Exile is a lot newer style of game. Even Path of Exile 1, which I think was out before this was, Path of Exile's evolved into a much different state than like this game has. So I don't know. I don't know how modern audiences would interpret this game, because it is a lot different. It's a lot more laid back and a lot different play style than Path of Exile. You're not clearing entire screens. You're going to run around a little bit more. You're going to have to fight stuff like this. You may have to actually use your little dodge roll at times. You may be able to just totally tank all this. Nope, I'm dying. I got to heal. Not paying attention. This guy's doing some damage. He's a lot higher level than I am. So what I would do is typically just try to get away from this other stuff shooting at me. Maybe go fight him on his own. And try not to die. There's not really a whole lot of getting away and running backwards. Like, you kind of have to move like I'm moving there. Kite things around. Try to stand toe-to-toe with him for a little bit. See how this fight goes. But you can absolutely run away and maintain a little bit of distance. I guess I better talk about the health bar. You may notice down there that there's like a little yellow overlay or something on it. It's like a second health bar. So you've got so many potions, and you have to let that second one recharge over time. Like, you can only heal so far, and then I still don't understand it exactly, because there are only so many heals that you get. There's only so many times you can press the heal button, and this is your overall health. But then there's like this second thing that's over top of it. When that goes away, you can't press the heal button at all. So something along those lines. And once again, we've got some more gear to pick up. We killed this guy over here. Let's see here. But there's like all kinds of little, oh, there's some dynamite. I need to go get a lot of dynamite. There's all kind of little caves and things to explore. I think this game does a really good job of exploration. I think all the monsters respawn. I do think they respawn, so I believe that they're kind of endless in some regards. I don't think you just clear out. I don't think when you clear out an area that it's just completely cleared out. I do think they come back, but don't quote me on that. But at any rate, I think this has probably been a good enough look at this game. You're either interested or you're not at this point. So I think we can call it a video, but this pretty much is what it is. There are boss fights you're going to do. There's big boss fights. I know the final boss was a little difficult for me as melee. But there are also little mini bosses. They're nowhere near the complexity that Path of Exile 2 bosses are, where you've got all the different mechanics to dodge and things like that. There are mechanics, there is a dodge, but it's not necessarily as much as that. But the game is very cool, it's fairly cheap, and it's a really good look at the way some of these games used to play, with having expansions and not having leagues and seasons and all that stuff. So anyway, I think that's going to do it for this video. We will catch you on the next one. Take care.